Hello and welcome to this week's one card reading. This week is the card of the Anchor. So please take a moment to tune into the imagery of this card and find out what stands out to you. It can be one thing, it can be several things, and I'll get back to you in a moment to tell you what the meanings are of this particular beautiful magical card of the Anchor. The image of the anchor itself is one of strength and stability. If you're drawn to the actual anchor in the middle, it is one of strength and willpower and wielding them over the next couple of months. Be very careful, if you're drawn to this card, of how you use your willpower. Sometimes we can use it to be positive and move us forward and be positive and optimistic, and other times we can use it as to our detriment and as in a way of stubbornness, which is a problem. So this anchor always has two sides to it, two sort of meanings to it. We don't see it sinking to the bottom, but it has the potential to do that. We have the potential to drag ourselves down. So we're in a time and place, if we see this card, where we need to remind ourselves that we have to be that positive, be in that positive moment and focus in on those positive goals to get the results that we want. Otherwise, we could see some self-sabotaging behaviour, and we don't want to see that, that's for sure. So, indeed, over the next couple of months, indeed over the next week at least, to make sure that all of your thoughts are positive, forward-moving, and things that are not self-doubting at all, because it's a sort of sink or swim energy with this one. So, the interesting part also is that the chain is not attached to anything. This is a very independent energy. It's all about the client. It's not about a marriage that they're in or a relationship that they're in. This is about their energy. And if they are in a relationship that they're worried about, etc., or the person's not paying them enough attention that they're due, we can see that that chain is not attached. This is all about you. So understand that the energy that you're experiencing that is of a negative nature perhaps in a relationship is more about that person than yourself, because this chain is not attached to them. So understand that this is your energy, that's their energy, and don't be affected by their strange and wacky and rude behavior. That's theirs to own and not yours. So remember, it's not all about you when it comes to relationships. And if you're sort of sitting here wanting to know about a relationship, that's my message for you. That the issues that are happening, it's not all about you at all. This other person will have other things going on in their lives, and often that we sort of find that everyone's behaviour, we sort of see that everyone's behaviour is because of something we've done. It's not the fact or not the case at all, especially if you're drawn to this card. So the card itself is not about a relationship. It's not about strength in a relationship at all. It is about that independent energy, because we see that anchor is detached. So it's about this space and their space, your space, their space, and they're separate. So just getting a different perspective, and we can see that by the birds flying around too, which we'll get to in a minute. The waves at the bottom of this card represent sort of comings and goings, ebbs and flows. So if you're having a bad time at the moment, expect the waves to peak up again, and then down, and then up, and then down over the next week or so. Totally normal. Don't freak out. Everyone goes through transitional times. Waves crashing is just, it's a part of nature. It's something that just happens. So don't freak out at all. It's totally normal. It will pass. Relax. If you're drawn to the seagulls, meaning the white ones around, the 4 that we can see, this is one of extroverted activities. It's one of group activities. So over the next couple of weeks, this is being around friends and family, close times to be had. And also, if you're asked to do something extracurricular that you're not used to, do it. It's a very positive image for that particular aspect of your life. It's about getting out of the creature comfort zone and really doing those things that can make you feel alive instead of sort of dead inside, sheltered and things like that. So try and get out and do the most that you can and fly free, because obviously the birds are images of freedom. We also see a black and white bird up the top. If you're drawn to this bird, and it's very swift in motion, we see an end to delays happening in your life. Since we see that black and white energy, it is that temperance too. It's that tempering of light and darkness. So making sure that you take that time for yourself, being introverted, relaxing, spending time at home, doing those things that you want. Even if you have to, have an hour to yourself, in the morning if you have children, etc. Just, you need to find that time to have for you. And it can be done. I'm a great example of that. If you're finding you're spending too much time inside, it's time to temper that and go outside and balance that, because I find that this bird represents a lack of balance, a sort of a calling to have that more sort of tempered energy. So that's a really good one to have, because we don't want to be too sort of in ourselves, and we don't want to be too out of ourselves by helping people all the time and then being totally depleted and drained. So we need to get a balance if you're drawn to that card. We see the swiftness of this bird too, and when we read Gypsy cards, we always read from left to right, past to the future. And we see this bird is flying straight to the future. So this is a great image. And also it's one of the independent energy too, because this is the odd bird out. This is the odd one out of the lot. And while these other birds are sort of flying, you know, nice and free and having fun, this one has got its eye on the prize. It's like, I'm not really interested in, you know, frolicking right now. I'm going straight for the goal. Now, if you're drawn to both these birds, both the seagulls and this black and white bird, it's going to be an interesting time. There's going to be a lot of sort of internal sort of not conflict, but you know, struggles deciding whether to be introverted or extrovert, or what time to rest and what time to, you know, reach your goals. This is very much about time management if you're drawn to all of these birds at once, trust me. So really sit down, plan out the next few weeks and how you're dedicating your time. If you have a family, it's time to really focus in on how much spending time that is needed for them so they're not neglected, how much time for your own life, how much time for yourself, things like that. So there's a balance that's needed if you're drawn to all these birds, but if you're just drawn to that one bird itself, that's just a balance imagery in itself. Now, if you're drawn to the water itself and not necessarily the waves, and I'm talking about this sort of still kind of water at the bottom and the water in the background, the water is an amazing energy of emotion and also communication. So if you've had communication issues with anybody, those will sort of subside a little bit. But remember, we have those waves around us, so there's sort of an ebb issue going on there. So know that people's behaviours do change. Not everybody is going to be on this one, you know, wavelength all the time. It's going to change. So when they start acting strange or when they start withdrawing, understand that it's just them and it's got nothing to do with your behavior or yourself. And sort of don't make a mountain out of a molehill. You know, when you go swimming out in the ocean and there's a massive wave coming, you know not to just sort of sit there treading water and get smashed in the face with the wave. You know to just go straight under the water, wait for the wave to crash over the top of you and then come back up again. And that's the attitude that you really need to take over the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, you're going to get smashed in the face and you know, figuratively speaking, by taking events to a level that they don't actually really exist on. So, say for example, somebody's not talking to you and you have it in your mind that, you know, they're not talking to you because you've done something, and then you sort of confront them and they're like, what the hell, there's nothing wrong, and it's like, yes there is, no there isn't, yes there is, and that kind of thing, and that sort of crazy cycle. So when it comes to a person that's acting strange or acting distant, just dive under the wave and they'll come to you when they want to come to you. And that is my best advice, especially with those people who have had issues with relationships or other people around them that have been a little bit difficult. Just dive under the wave. Confrontation is not the good route to take this week, that's sure. If your clouds up, again, this represents that sort of transitional time. After every storm, there's always a rainbow. So just know, like I just said about those waves, you've just got to dive down and just wait for that to pass and not sort of stand out in the storm and you know, wave umbrella around going, hey, what's going on? Otherwise, you're going to get hurt. So this card is incredibly stable, yet at the same time it has that tumultuous energy to it, and it's how you wield it. This is what this whole card is about. It's how you wield your energy and your power that determines the outcome. If you want to be crazy and confrontational over the next week, you're going to find out it's going to bite you right in the ass, and that's how it's going to be. But if you want to be, you know, progressive and evolve and get things moving in the positive aspect, just dive under. Know when to strike, know when to sit back, know when to behave, know when to stand up. So that is the card of the anchor, and I know people are drawn especially to numbers. So the number 35 represents the ending of a cycle. So in the Gypsy deck we see 36 cards, and 35 is right near the end, right? So we're coming up to the very end of a cycle. So you're going to find that over the next week or so that new energy and new opportunities are going to be coming into your life, which is a really positive thing to have indeed. If you're drawn to the 9 at the bottom, I've mentioned before that Gypsy cards are always linked to the traditional card decks. So the number 9 is the 9th of the month, so you're going to find 9th of December to be quite significant in regards to this transitional energy and this, fight or flight kind of time. So remember, when that 9th rolls around and someone's acting wacky, you know not to confront them. You know to sit back. You know to be quiet. You know when to strike and when to sort of just leave them alone. That kind of thing. So the anchor overall is a very positive card, and if I'm doing a personal and private reading for someone, I will know exactly if this card is of a positive aspect or a negative aspect in regards to the personality. But when we're doing these general readings, it's up to you to decide, what aspect of yourself it's talking about. So it's really time to sit down and assess where your thoughts are headed, where your energy and your subconsciousness is headed towards when it comes to planning and goal, and also importantly behavior, and how you perceive the situations and people around you too. That not everything is about you when it comes to events, but it is all about you when it comes to how you behave and how you react to other people and how you react to your own life and your own challenges too. So I often see this card pop up when people are, extremely strong-willed. But again, that is a double-edged sword itself. Strong-willed people are their biggest enemies, and they're also their biggest heroes. So it's a time that you need to really dig deep and really turn up for yourself every single day, instead of sort of being that voice on your shoulder that's of that more negative aspect. We need the other side. We need the positive side to really get in there and give you a lecture and remind you that this is your life's journey, and there's no time to waste on the bullshit, basically. So that's your one card for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do want a private reading, I do have those, and I do book those every week, but they do disappear really quickly. And that's it for now. We're going to do something a little bit different next week, just to change it up a little bit, and that shall be very interesting. So thank you so much for choosing me as your reader and joining my Sex and mailing list and following my Facebook, and that's about it. Till next time, have a good day.